Now, we've run a survey here in the UAE about the adoption of internet by SMEs and what SMEs actually, how they feel about using the internet to grow their business. And I'm going to take you through some of those stats, but the first question actually I wanted to ask, and if I could see by a show of hands, is how many of you SMEs actually have some sort of web presence, either a website or a social media page? Right? About, what, 40% of the room? And probably that's on the higher end. You know, if you're here today, you're obviously very interested in how you can grow your business, probably a bit more visionary in terms of adopting different tools and frameworks to help grow your business. When we ran this survey in the UAE, less than 18% of SMEs are online, right? Let's compare that to some other countries. In France, we're looking at 60%. In the US, we're around 40%. UAE is at 18%. So 18% of SMEs have some sort of web presence. Now, unfortunately, most of that presence actually comes from a basic social media page, which gets you to communicate and interact with your community of followers, but that's the extent of what social media can do for you. You're not embracing the full power of the internet in terms of being able to do transactions, being able to be visible globally, and grow your business, not just from a local perspective, but a global perspective as well. And using the internet actually to market your business. So again, we ran another stat about how many businesses actually do online marketing, so advertise their business online. Again, by a show of hands, how many of you actively do online marketing here? Not that many, right? And actually the number we're looking at is 87% of businesses do not do any kind of online marketing activity. Basically, even if you have a web presence, you're not making it available to your consumers. You're saying you're closed for business, right? Yet, when we ask the question, how many of you are actually on the internet because you want to grow your business and because you want higher visibility amongst your consumers, more than 90% say that's the main reason why they're online, right? So having considered some of these stats and the situation of internet adoption amongst SMEs, at Google, we're very passionate about empowering and enabling SMEs to take advantage of the internet to grow their business. And we do this across different ways, either through education or through enabling SMEs through certain tools, right? On the education side, we've made it actually free to access any kind of online marketing course that Google offers, and certification so that you can actually become an expert when it comes to online marketing, either an SME owner or if you're the marketing director within your SME, is for free, right? Now, even before thinking about education per se, as we've seen, many people don't actually have an online presence. So what we've said is, well, how about we make it super easy and again, free for SMEs to have an online presence? So we've launched a product called Google My Business. It's a free product, very easy to use, that effectively puts your SME on Google, whether it's on Google Search, on Google Maps, so that when your potential customer is actually looking for you on the internet, you're there, you're telling a story, and you're saying, come find me, this is my location, this is my website, this is my phone number, I can help you, right? In terms of then online marketing, so promoting your online presence, again, we want to help you. And we understand that it's not an easy proposition. You know, understanding how online marketing works and how to think about it. I've been an SME, I still own an SME, and it took me a while to decide how I'm going to spend my money in terms of online marketing. So what Google has done is we actually match however much you spend, up to a certain limit obviously, on any Google ad-related product, we match that. So we provide you credit, free credit, that you can use to experiment how to actually think and use online marketing, right? So that's the second aspect of what we're doing. Access is one, helping you with online marketing is another. And actually in the goodie bags today, you'll have access to that credit as well. And then the third thing we do is, well, you have an online presence, you've marketed that, so you're getting customers, yet for the most part, there's no sort of transaction happening online, right? So what we've done is we've actually partnered with a whole number of multinational companies like ourselves who are passionate about empowering SMBs to create a one-stop shop when it comes to e-commerce. We work with Aramex, PayPal, to create an easy solution called Easy Store that helps you create an online store, helps you figure out how to actually get money, to get paid online, and actually how to market that online store as well through Google. So Easy Store, again, is available. We've had over 160 businesses in the last year take advantage of this and are now prospering as e-commerce companies. So, long story short, we're very passionate about helping you. I mean, I'm personally extremely passionate because I still have an SME on the side. And actually, I was recruited into this role because of the frustrations I had as an SME of leveraging the full power of the internet. And we want to make it easier for you to take advantage of that and grow your businesses on the internet and hopefully support the Dubai 2021 vision in terms of creating a digital sustainable economy. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. So Sean is an angel now. He'll spin our businesses to be more e-commerce friendly, and he has the tools. So I think let's leverage on the experts here today to get our act together. The Dubai Plan 2021 has so many opportunities. I mean, you just have to find out more about where you can add value. Our experts are here. I think we can have room for some couple of questions. If there's any burning questions that you want to ask the panels or myself, please.
Yeah, the question again is, how would SMEs go about finding out which bank is the right partner for them? What resources are there for them to research? Where would they go, and what questions would they ask?
As I was saying, I think it's a very important question, and as you start doing your research on finding the right partner to do the business, I think a banking partner and a long and sustainable banking partner is very important. I would have said the simple answer would be just to Google it, but going a little further than that, I think it does make a lot of sense to actually visit some of the banks. There are a lot of banks over there which are advertising. You can pick up the phone, call up some of these banks. And I think today, you have to have that discussion with the banks. So I can say that clearly the local banks which are there in the market, and some of the names are very obvious, those banks are definitely looking at ensuring that there is a SME product. And I would say not an SME product, but a business banking product. Specifically, if I talk about the Commercial Bank International, CBI, where I work, it's a very clear strategy. So if you want to have any discussion, feel free to give me a call specifically. But the other also way to look at it is, and again, it's a business decision for you, is to speak some of your partners and your business associates. Usually, if a good experience has been with a bank by your partner or by your supplier or your client, usually these things help. And like any other thing, word of mouth and market intelligence comes from most of these things. So that could be another way you can find out. There isn't a web page or a research. There are times when news dailies come up with some kind of edition where there are banks which are mentioned. Like for a credit card, you have all the list of banks which are there and what are the products, what are the benefits, what are the interest rates. Sometimes there are these editions which come out. So if you can keep your eyes and ears open to some of that, then you'll find some printed and research which is already there in the public domain.
Thank you. I think just to add on, there is a website called Souk Almal which actually compares different banks. So I think that's a good source where you can check about the different rates or the different offers and service offerings of different banks. Can we have the next? Yeah,
can I just add that, but many times some of the information which is there, I think it is very relevant to then go and do a little bit of a deep dive.
Of course.
Because I would say that there are certain disclaimers which are there. When banks put up certain conditions, there are certain disclaimers. And I'm myself telling you that please go and have a look at those.
So beware of the fine print, he's saying. Okay, can we have a next question?
I see a lot of intent and very interesting intent at all levels. What of the interfaces between, for example, in the banking sector, when you are mentioning that there is intent, it is part of the strategy of your bank in order to assist SMEs. But then what of the interface between your bank, your strategy, and the people who are actually on the ground trying to get in touch with you? I've had a number of experiences. I think Shant witnessed part of it this morning regarding a bank contacting me this morning simply on opening an account. If the intent is there from a strategic level to assist SMEs, and you're viewing the banking or the banker, I'd say almost as an old school banker, where there is a relationship that is built with the banker, that is less and less the reality on the ground as a startup, as a new company, trying to establish a contact with the bank and getting, sorry for the word, but dismal quality in the questions that are being asked for us. So if we understand the overall regulatory context in which these companies are evolving, banks in particular, versus the reality on the ground, there's a total disconnect. That's on the one hand. So my question is, how do you ensure that your intent at all levels, from the policy to the banking sector to the Google activities, are actually implemented and made available to people? Because strategy is one thing, implementing that strategy and getting the frameworks for those to be applied is totally different. One question also that I would like to ask is regarding the legal frameworks within the UAE. We still have 51% of capital for startups, at least in DD companies, that has to be locally owned. How relevant is that today?
Answer the bank question.
Maybe I can take the question on the banking side. Yes, you're absolutely right. You can have a very nice big ad on Sheikh Zayed Road, and when you call up the call center, and I think you would probably not get the right answer, or you would get it too late, and therefore very clearly the SME is the most underserviced and the underserved segment of the entire corporate banking pool. Take that on. Most places where I have initiated the SME businesses, the first thing that I've done is to put a service desk which is dedicated for the SME banking. So if you have a call center which is for retail banking, or if you have a service center which was for corporate banking, and if you feel that there is a utility which is a common utility taken and that can be done, you're not serving the SME client at all. Because a retail call center will not be able to understand the TR or a trade transaction which a SME wants, and a corporate banking service center will not be able to even look at an SME customer because it will be too small for them. So having banks to understand and realize, and the influence that I have in my bank, the first thing that we want to do is to, and we are starting off with a new and revamped SME strategy. The first thing that I had to take up to the CEO is to say that I need a service center so that people can call and we can be looking at giving the advocacy that is required for SME. So that is very, very important. Various channels to do that. You can be on the phone. Communities are there, and therefore the catchment area, which is a branch which is there in that catchment area, is a place. And therefore again, sometimes linking the branch banking business to an SME business is very important. Sometimes you have these bankers in the 7th floor of a tall building, and the SME is somewhere in Al-Quoz. He never gets to that building. He never speaks to that banker. So having a branch in that catchment area, and again talking about CBI, we have 25 branches in all the 7 emirates. So that makes us bank those companies in that catchment area, because the SME banking is the traditional community banking, and it has to remain that way. Looking at the questions that you had put on the legal framework, I will leave it to Alex to take a stab on that.
I'll just mention a few things, and then maybe the TC also can comment. As far as the 5149 ownership law is concerned, I think that's a federal issue. It's at the federal level, so it's something that we Dubai SME or DED has no control. It's a law of the land, so to speak. But as we speak, there are other laws and regulations. The company laws are being reviewed constantly, and this is again regulation on the go. There's talk about a franchising law. So I think these laws are eventually going to change, but it takes time. There are, of course, discussions at the government level and with the private sector about how to evolve the regulations for the future to make it more business friendly. But I don't know whether TC...
if I can can add here, as part of our role as Dubai Internet City, for instance, and all of the, and talking on behalf, I think, of all the free zones that are available now, the government has set certain infrastructure available for questions or queries such as these. All of the number of free zones that have been set up today are tackling that part of the equation now. So there are many different vehicles to tackle the 49-51%. Now, there are other parts, there are many other reasons that why we're keeping that, I think, as is within the mainland. But I think today, and looking at the number of companies that have registered within all the free zones, and not only what we are talking about. And, for us alone, we are talking about 9 different free zones, tackling 9 different industries, catching most of the businesses that are there. And in these cases, you've got the opportunity to do that. To work within the free zones, but mainly these free zones are service-based to a free zone. So you have the opportunity to work anywhere, technically speaking. Nevertheless, you are still getting that infrastructure that you require.
So we have time for, I think, just one last question before we move on to the next panel. Can the gentleman there, please?
My question is on the Vision 2021.
Yeah.
It was mentioned 40% of GDP, but in it, as I understood it, it's going to become 60%. And that's the target. Just doing a calculation in my head, that means the growth for SMEs and value added has to be 50% from where it is currently. Above, it has to be double what normal growth is. Is that something achievable, and how is that possible?
It's a very challenging target, and I do recall when I mentioned the same statement in our office to the decision makers, the answer was, "This is Dubai. You don't expect us to achieve that." So, and when we did the calculations, just to give you the right figures, if we want to move from 40% to 60% within 7 to 10 years, SMEs should grow on average the double current growth of real GDP. That is, if GDP growth is 5%, then SMEs should grow at 10% on annual basis. This was set, and nobody was expecting the fall in oil prices, which changed the whole equation. This is why all of our targets, that some of them we have already mentioned, announced, and others are still under revision, we're always putting targets based on the current conditions that we have. You can always have a high aspiration, but then the reality imposes different standards on you. And we need to make sure that at least we're doing the best that we can to make sure that SMEs' share will always increase as a contribution of total GDP.
With that, just want to add on is that, when you say in any healthy economy, developed economy, the SME contribution is between 40 to 60%. But some countries like Germany has 80%. So it is important that we look at it in perspective. If the economic pie grows and SME share grow, it's at the expense of the large companies, right? But again, if the pie grows for everyone will benefit. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we had a very enriching discussion. Oh, okay, you want to add something?
As was said earlier, SMEs are set up and then there's a failure rate as well. Now, do you think, or I'm going to address it to you, that is it a safe enough the environment for an SME to fail, like in relation to the bankruptcy law? Is anything coming up? Is that anything in the works? Because until that's in place, the encouragement and the confidence to set up a business will be limited.
See, from a banking perspective, From a banking perspective, there are banks which look at an